Thank you everyone for attending one of those sessions of webinar slash discussion. I say slash discussion because when I start these free webinars, I started with intention to present something, but actually I've been finding that it's really good and really cool to listen you guys on your experiences and your practices and even your challenges. And even though if you are new, you're a student, it's super important for me to listen you, and it's super important for the others also listen you because you came just out of from the uni or out of from the school, and you understand what are the latest topics that they're teaching nowadays. So also give it to us another perspective. So starting, I would like you guys if you can introduce yourself, and also I just mentioned before this session gets recorded. And if you don't want to appear in any kind of recording later, please let me know, and I will cut you in the sessions. Okay. So, morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. Welcome to another session of the Insights webinars. My name is Ramon. As I was just saying to KJ, I am originally from Chile, and I've been living in New Zealand for the last 8 years. I've been working in technology for over than 15 years. I've been working as a developer. I've been working as a program design. I've been working as a firmware developer. I've been working as a web developer. And also I've been working in the last few years in data. But just want to say that having all this background from software development, it helped me a lot to progress much faster in the code space from data. But the place that I'm most enjoying nowadays is the business connection. This is me. So I will open now the microphone for you. If you want to introduce yourself, I will really appreciate it. Would you like to go, KJ?
Sure, I can go. I should.
Thank you very much.
I've got the wrong monitor on. Hi, everybody. My name is KJ. I am finishing a master's degree focused on data visualization at the University of Calgary. Fun fact about me is my first career was as a cabinet maker. So this is like a career changing kind of thing. And my undergraduate degree is in mathematics. So that's a little bit about me and the kinds of things I do. I'm particularly interested in looking at kind of improving my skills and developing my chops to look at kind of moving into either workplace or freelance space, with the other option being a PhD.
Thank you very much, KJ, for sharing that. I will give you some opinion later about freelancing, contracting, consulting, or be a permanent role. I have some opinion.
I would love.
Yeah, I will share with you some insights or my experience. Better to say that insights. All right. Who wanna go next? All right, you can go, Taylor, please.
Hey, y'all. Do a quick camera like KJ did, just so you all can see my face. So hi, everyone.
Nice to meet you, Taylor.
Nice to see you again, Ramon. So I'm Taylor Bednars. I am the Senior Data Visualization Epidemiologist for the Maricopa County Department of Public Health in Phoenix, Arizona, in the United States. My background is in epidemiology. Before that, I was a math and science teacher for middle schoolers. So definitely math and science background. And I kind of found data viz through my work. And so that's my focus now. Lots of building dashboards in Power BI. That's my main focus right now. And I know Python can definitely be useful for visualization as well. So I'm definitely interested in learning more Python as well. So that's what I'm here for. And so nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much, Taylor. Monica, would you like to go next? If not, is that okay? Thara, would you like to go next to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Roslyn. I also work in epidemiology. Found this through the DVS Society. I am kind of new to Power BI. I've been doing stuff in R and interested in Power BI, and I work at the New Mexico Department of Health. So interested in learning more.
It's amazing
Oh,
that we have two epidemiologists here and science. So it will be really good if you, Taylor, can connect with Samara in the future, because you can learn a lot from sharing stuff. So good stuff. Now, Monica, you can go, please.
yeah, sorry about that. I couldn't find
You're
the
right.
controllers. But anyway, my name is Monica Graham, and I am a student at St. Joseph University in Philadelphia. And I am pursuing a master's degree in business intelligence and data analytics. So I'm excited to join this webinar because, you know, one of our projects is to find a webinar that talks about data visualization. So right now in our class, we're studying Tableau. So I wanted to find out a little bit more information about Tableau. I'm struggling with it, but I like Power BI better than Tableau. So that's why I'm here, to see if anybody else have any insight with Tableau
Okay.
as opposed to Power BI. So like a comparison.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Monica. And thank you everyone for introducing yourself. I really appreciate your participation, because I believe that part of our roles as a data specialist is also presenting. I think that when I work in a project, in a lengthy project, I have to present the data later on. And at the beginning, it was really hard for me, but I have to be working on my soft skill to be able to present the data more precisely, because the dashboard can tell us a lot, but it's also in the way how you present it. Finally, it's your own product. So when you design a dashboard, when you design a solution, or you do a data science analysis, it's really important to have those skills to present the data for others and have the clarity. And I have one diagram for you that I would like to share. And probably some of you are already familiar with this, but I think it's no harm at all to present it. I'm sharing my screen. Share here. Okay. Now you should be able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen? Any thumbs up? Thank you. All right. Okay. I do believe that there is a core for business insight / data analyst. And I think that the best area that I've been working when I started to work with data is to understand the business problematic, because knowing data is important. However, understand what's happening in the business, it will help you to actually create the questions that nobody answers, and then in the data you will start to find the answers. But having this knowledge, inside knowledge from the business, how it works, or how the institution works, if you work for a hospital, it's really important to understand the processes. And when you are able to understand what is going on in the institution, you will be able to create the questions. And those questions are the ones that you will help you to go to the data and try to find the answers. So the first thing that I want you to remember is connect with the business, or the organization in this case. Later, when you are able, of course, this is more like a hands-on tools, which is the transformation of the data, preparing it really properly, and then you will be able to create certain discoveries. And lastly, in the R is the reflection of the insights that we found. Sometimes I don't try to rush to present whatever that I found. It's really important for me to take the step back and think of what I have discovered, and which will be something that it will answer the business question or the organization question. Because sometimes when we found something, we get really excited and we think that is really important. However, for our stakeholders, it's not really important for them. So instead of to go there and present in a rush, I will suggest you to take one step back and reflect on what you have found so far. And lastly is the execution of the strategy. I know as a data specialist, something we only have the chance to create data visualization dashboards. But one area that I've been working a lot is to create a draft on how this strategy will be created based on the discoveries that we made. For example, if I've been working in a company who create profit, I mean, we've been working on how we can optimize the profit. I go one step farther and I try to find what are the areas that are affecting directly the profit. Like, for example, we are having too many items on stock for too long, and that is impacting highly the profit of the company. Because if I go to the sales, I have the cost of the product and I just present that, we'll still leave stuff on the table. So bringing those kind of information, I think, is really important for us as a data specialist, because in that way we can help the business to drive those strategies. Sorry. In this diagram is to represent, if you don't haven't worked in an organization so far, this represent in an ideal world how things will work. Firstly, we have a data engineer who are the responsibles to pull all the data and transform it and create data pipelines and pretty much pull it from nasty places and dark places and present it to you in an organized way. And then data scientists having all that data pre-created, they will be able to create mathematical models on top and be able to create analysis on that. And then we have data analysts that we are able to create insights with the data to create help to the business to create a strategy. However, this, as I just mentioned, is in an ideal work. I have the opportunity of being forced to work around in those three areas. So I work in data engineering, I work in a bit of machine learning, and also I've been doing a lot of data analyst. So the area that I most enjoy so far, I think, is around here and around here, which is around the presentation of the data. But I also enjoy the coding part, which is I normally use Python or Databricks to transform data, or there are other softwares that you can use. But if you are as a data scientist, unfortunately, if you are working for a business where just studying with the data journey, probably also you will need to do a lot of data curation, transformation, and a lot of preparation for the data. So this is what it used to be in a big organization, how the data teams used to be look like. Nowadays is a hybrid world, which means that probably you will need to know 40% of data engineering and 60% of data analyst, or you need to be 90% data engineer or 10% data analyst. So I have seen within the roles, at least here in New Zealand, that they're asking for hybrid people, and also the role of data scientists has become more connected nowadays with AI. Of course, has a big relationship because they work in a lot of models. However, this area also got a bit gray out and is a shared role at the moment. In the question, and before I jump on that, do you have any opinions on this, people online? Would you like to share your experience, or I can share my one? All right. If you don't want to
I
share,
can jump
yeah, yes,
in.
please.
I just
Thank you.
want to add that, like, I've found, as you know, primarily my role has been as an analyst. And I find that working really closely with the data scientists makes it a lot easier. Like, understanding what the limitations of the data are, what we can and can't say about those relationships, based on the quality of the data. Consulting with the data scientists I found really useful in, like, when it comes time to actually, put that data into a report and communicate it out, understanding the process of, the actual statistical analysis and why things were collected the way they are can inform how you're communicating that and analyzing it. So I just would say work closely with your data scientist if you're an analyst, and vice versa. The siloing, I think, is a big problem in a lot of data spaces, where the data scientists and analysts are kind of siloed and not working together very often. And I think being able to work closely with the scientists as an analyst is very helpful for me.
Thank you for sharing that, Taylor. I think that you're absolutely right. Sometimes we tend to work in silos, and I've been working in organizations where everyone used to be separate in silos. Then someone decided that you will need to do all the 3 roles, but then they break it again into pieces, and then it defined really well the data engineering, which is completely out of the business unit that you are. But the problem is like when there is a big disconnection between data analysts and data engineers, finally you are not getting what you need, and they are lose the visibility what is important. So this is what I've been seeing. So that's what I still like to do a lot of data engineering, because I I I tend to understand what I need. So that is much easier for me just to put it within an API. But I understand that every organization is different, and yeah, it will depend. And without saying that those few roles that I just show, I would like to put a question for discussion, which is it the forecasting really important for data nowadays? I would like to hear your opinion on this and your experience. I will start to share my own experience. In the last 4 years or 5 years, I haven't worked in forecasting at all. I learned machine learning in Python. I learned machine learning in SAS. However, hasn't been I haven't been using it to apply it. I just do it for testing. However, people still tend to don't rely much on the forecasting because it's not always will be real. Probably for epidemiologists, it's more relevant. However, in business, I found that it has been hard for me to apply because I'm so busy creating dashboards, so busy creating data pipelines, and the space for forecasting is really limited. As soon as I want to jump into a forecasting project, another project come up again, and another data pipeline needs to be created. So during my experience has been really hard to work as a data analyst in forecasting. I would like to hear your experience. Thank you, Monica. Please go.
Yes, I can speak on forecasting from a different aspect because my background comes from 34 years of being a restaurant general manager, and I decided to put myself back in school and different things like that. So I've taken a forecasting class in one of my previous courses, but from the business aspect and then looking at data, because that's how my world is going. I can say that forecasting is very important in the business, and it helps project and see what you're potentially going to make. So thinking about that as me in operations and learning how the business runs, and then turn around being a student and seeing the importance of why forecasting needs to be a part of data analyzation, you see it in a different light, because you see the value of forecasting and how it all intertwines and how the operation wants to move forward and how to make profit. So I think
Yes.
it's very important in data analyzation from my experience.
Have you been able to put data out there for forecasting for a business case?
Yes, I have experienced that.
How has been the perception from your stakeholders?
From that aspect, it allows you to project your labor better, project your the business better, the operations better, not to have too many employees, but have just the right amount. Or sometimes it can be the opposite. And then sometimes you also have to look at the weather, different things like that. So all that interplays into the operation wise. But when you're looking at the data part of it, you take those sales and you combine them. And then you do the rest of the analyzations when it comes to depending on how much sales you want to put on that particular day, because you either have to go up 10%, 15%, 30%, depending on the traffic of the business. So you can see that within the numbers and data analyzation.
Thank you for sharing that, Monica. That was a really good example. I think that it will depend for each company, but and the way how you're presented, I think for accountants, it could be really useful. Thank you very much. Does anybody want to share their own experience with forecasting? No? Okay. All right. So before I jump into the forecasting example that I have, I would like to share two questions that we have from this conversation. One is the difference between Tableau and Power BI. I think Power BI has been imposed to me to use it because I work in a company where Microsoft environment is super powerful and has been really easy for everyone to download Power BI and install in our computers. So being in the Microsoft environment, I found that companies has been really easy to implement Power BI. So I think that the way how I see it, I remember that Tableau used to be really used in many companies, but nowadays after moving to the cloud, I see more more companies that they use Power BI nowadays, like the government institution, they use more Power BI because they already have all the software related to Microsoft. So if they have SharePoint lists, if they have Excel, if they have SQL, Microsoft SQL, and that sort of environment, or OneLake or Azure, is much easier for them to then to Power BI. Personally, all my experience is in Power BI. I think there are better tools. I like to create more dashboard using web development, something like React.js. However, I found that Power BI is really easy to apply into a business. For example, if I go to a new company, apply Power BI is just to download it and start to work with that. I think it's the cure of learning is much easy to other softwares. But if someone has the opportunity to work with Tableau, I would appreciate if you can share your experience. All right. Yep, please go,
I do a
KJ.
fair bit of work. Yeah, I do a fair bit of work with Tableau, and one of the classes that I TA, we use it as one of our tools for teaching. I think that in terms of like connection between, I haven't used Power BI that much, which is part of why I recognize kind of what you're saying is that it seems to be a very common tool in business, but in terms of how when I have dabbled with it, I find Tableau is very easy to like connect what's happening in the data to making the charts, and that like it's a very, once you get the hang of it, it's very easy to make very beautiful dashboards and charts quite effectively based on all of the like data visualization kind of theory, because that's how Tableau was built. And I don't find that quite as easy in Power BI, but that might just be me not as a power user of Power BI.
Thank you for sharing that.
I find that a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm commenting on her comment about Power BI and Tableau because I'm learning Tableau and I find it very challenging, and I find Power BI easy. That's so funny because I think the formula base in Tableau is much more. It's more of a query than it would be in Microsoft Power BI. And I'm not the greatest at querying, so that's where I think I find my more calculated fields, more so in the query part. That's where I find my challenges at, and that's where I struggle. As far as the data visualizations, I think Power BI offered them a little bit more easier than in Tableau when making the dashboards, because I see like I have issues with the containers, and then I have issues with deciding on how I'm going to put it all together. It's just kind of like really frustrating, but it's interesting how you see it a little bit different than I do. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I love what you're saying too. Like I think this because when we talk about making data visualizations, like the way that different people are approaching it and the way our different brains are kind of thinking about that whole process of going from the data and mapping to the dashboard, for example. Like and so hearing what you're saying is beautiful and I appreciate it.
Nice. I really love that you've been able to connect and being able to share experience. I think that all of us we benefit when we share experiences. So thank you, Monica and KJ, for sharing. I personally I have seen dashboards in Tableau that they look way more nicer than Power BI. However, I tried to replicate the same in Power BI just to copycat, and it was really hard. But I found that Power BI is much easier for me to maintain within my team because everyone has similar skills, and so it's easy for them to change stuff. And also DAX, which is the formula programming language sort of that comes in Power BI. If you work a lot in Excel, also come much easier for you because it has certain similarities. It's not equal, but it has certain similarities. And someone mentioned as well about Python visualization. I think Python visualization, which is like a matplotlib, those libraries are basically used for discoveries. So I don't think that is a really well-structured way to use it in the long term and share with the stakeholders. However, there are many libraries nowadays that you can use amazing visualizations in Power BI. However, I still using the basics, but I've been finding ways to make it look better. So at the end of this, actually at 9:45, you will receive an email from me with the examples that I will be presenting now. And there is some of Power BI that you can use it as a template or as an idea if you want to use it in the future. All right. So I will be jumping now into the example that I have for the forecasting. This is the data that I am sharing with you. This is a super simple data. It's a dimension product, it's a dimension date, and a fact sales. If you are not familiar with star schemas, don't worry. This is basically a star schema that we use to organize in a better way data for Power BI. But don't worry about this. I have another session, and actually in my website there is a free class that you can download, and it's everything about the star schemas. So you're welcome to download it there if you want. All right. This data here, it comes from a fictitious company, and we follow the sales from 2003. And this is the way how I put it together. All right. The thing that I don't like much in Power BI, now we're talking about Power BI, is how can I say? I think this is really hard to change the space between the bars. It's really hard to change. If, for example, if you would like to make this round, you cannot do it. So you need to create your own type of visualization if you would like to do those kind of stuff. If you work in web development or you work in design, you will find that those like a sharp edges are a bit annoying for certain people, and actually I don't like them much. It's the same thing with this kind of selection button. Having it in a more beautiful way, I will really appreciate, but this is what we have in Power BI. So the thing that I have here, I just put a sample insights, nothing fancy. All right. And here I just put the cells. And I want to just show you, if you haven't used it before, is that Power BI has an option here. If you have a proper data separated each month by month, you will be able to enable this option called forecast. All right. Forecast, it will just do a linear regression, which is nothing super accurate, but it just, if you work in machine learning, you will find that linear regression doesn't work for all the scenarios. However, Power BI gave you this opportunity if you would like to see how the data will perform for the 10 next month. For example, I have this data separated by months, and if I put 5 here, I just will be able to just see how the data will be how the sales will go for the next 5 months. And I have a upper limit and a lower bound limit. And also we can increase or decrease the confidence level. So the more that we increase the confidence level, the higher that goes that bar. And also you can use it as a points. I just use it as a points because I'm using at the moment months. And so you can use it as a point. That is a quick and easy way how you can do forecasting in Power BI. Probably if you were already with something like R, SAS, or Python, this is super basic, but at least I give you the opportunity if someone wants to play with forecasting and see how something that it could happen in the future. This is an approachable way to start. So I will send this template for you to play around. Okay. Anybody has any question or something that you want me to share with you in Power BI? Okay. Yeah, Power BI has different features, as I mentioned. You have only this type of charts are available from where you can change the color, change the few options like the font or the size of the font. But then you have this option that from where you can start to navigate through like an app store from where you can start to download certain visualization. Some of them they're a bit tricky because as soon as you start to enjoy to using it, you will find that you need to get a license to to be able to keep using it. However, I've been finding some really cool ones that they are 100% free. So it's a time for you to start to navigate it. For example, if you would like to build a bubble plot, you can use this app and then you just put it here. For example, because a bubble plot we don't have available by default in Power BI, but from here you can download it and install it. And also I have seen that in certain organization, this area to download certain visualization features are disabled. So for a few organizations, especially if you work for a public institution, those can be blocked for your organization. So that is another sad part if you don't have access to all the visuals. However, to be fair, I've been able to produce great insights with just this type of visualization, the default ones, and I've been able to create a great impact on the business. All right. So you don't need to, you can stay around here if you would like to start to create meaningful insight for your business. So that's my own opinion. Okay. All right. Does anybody want to comment something or have any question? All right. So one thing that KJ mentioned at the beginning is like she would like to explore about freelancing or contracting or consultancy. I think there are multiple flavors here. I think that if I can put in 4 different boxes, you have a permanent role, you have freelancing, you have a contractor role, or you have a consultancy role. And now there is a new role that I've been finding really interesting called fractional roles. I don't know if you hear about that much in US, but fractional role means that you will be working as a data analyst 30% in this company. It's a sort of like a part-time, but now they changed the name and they call it fractional data analyst, fractional consultant, fraction CEO, fraction CFO, because, for example, for small startups that they cannot afford yet to a full-time CFO, they have someone with a lot of experience, but they work in a fraction way, means that they work just 30%. And of course, with the evolution of AI, today this is possible as well because it helps you a lot to manage a lot of your work with agents or other kind of technologies. And then I think that for the fractional roles, there are people who charge the same salary of a year. For example, if you think that a data analyst earn let's say $100,000 a year, then for a fractional role that you work 50%, some people just charge $50,000. All right. But there are certain people who rise that. Yes, please, Monica. Monica?
Oh, I just wanted to find out. You said a fractionary role. That's what it's
Yes.
called. Okay, and how long has that been around, or they just recently just started that not so long ago?
I have seen it in startups mainly, and I have been listening it for the last 6 months, I will say. And I've been meet people that they say, "Oh, what are you doing for living?" "Ah, I'm a fractional consultant. I'm a fraction consultant. I'm a fraction CFO." And I met 3 people presenting in this way. So I start to analyze the market of fraction stuff. And I found it really interesting because you get people with really good experience, but if you can afford that person for a startup, you can just hire for 30% of their time. And doesn't mean that you need to be in the office 2 days a week. It means that 30% of your day you can spend it within the company.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, and also I hear people looking for a job for a long time. And so this it could be a great opportunity because if you find that that 30% is not going really well, but you need to also put the boundaries that this until here you can get, and this is the amount of hours you can spend. And it's really interesting. That's what I found. All right.
All right,
So
thank you.
we have, yeah, no worries. Then we have, as I just mentioned, the new kids on the block, which is the fraction roles. Then we have contractors. Contractors are basically people who they have a assigned task and come to do some work, which means that we need to develop a project that it will require a data pipeline, and we'll be hiring you for 6 months, and in 6 months you should be able to deliver this project. All right, those kind of the are temp contractors that they come to a company and do a specific job, but also the scope of work is well defined. All right, and then we have the freelance, from where you can do like a company reach you out and you say, I just want to do a Power BI dashboard. Can you tell me how much do you charge me for that? And then you can say, I don't know, $800 or $5,000 depending of the complexity of the project. And so that is how you can work as a freelancer. Okay. And then you have we cover freelancer, contractor, and then you have consultant. Consultant is basically when you go to a place and then you need to understand the problem of the customer, something that doesn't have the clarity what they need. They doesn't have the clarity that they need a data engineer. They doesn't have the clarity that they need a data analyst. And you as a consultant, you will propose a solution for this. And doesn't mean that you as a consultant, you will do the job. Means that will be proposing what they need and you charge for the time of hours that you spend with them designing this solution for them. And finally, you can end up with a documentation and your recommendations, and that's how you can work as a consultant. And the lastly one is the full-time job, or let's say just full-time job. And this is normally are for mature data organizations when they know that they need a data specialist, a data lead, a data science. However, for some small and medium enterprises, this kind of role is not well defined. So that is why, for example, sometimes they hire a data analyst, but you will be doing so much more because they thought that it was enough, but you working in other organizations, you will find that you really need a data warehouse to be able to create great insights. And that is my vision on those kind of 5 different roles in the markets. Do you have any question, KJ, about that?
That's really useful. Thank you so much. It's like you hear these words floating around, and I think in different industries and in different spaces, they kind of take on different meanings. So I've been busily taking notes as you're speaking. You can't see it, but I really appreciate the insights.
All right, no worries. I'm happy to share because for me, I like to do more strategy consultancy because I have the experience to work on the tools, but also allows me to do things at the side and don't spend like 100 hours within a customer. So I can spend 30 hours to work in the strategy. And of course, that kind of role is higher pay because you need to have a clear vision of what the customer need. And then you'll say you need to hire one data engineer, two data analysts, and finally you are helping them to create their human resource demand for the future. So I like that area personally. All right. And does anybody have
Quick
Rafenberg?
question. Yeah.
What is your name?
How do I
Sorry.
apply for? My name is Raghavender. You can call me Raghu.
Raghu, can you introduce
Yeah.
yourself because we missed you at the beginning? Sorry.
Yeah. So this is Raghu. I'm new to this forum or this platform. I work for JP Morgan Chase as a business intelligence developer and also a data analytics associate. So I do a lot of work on the Tableau and other data ad hoc analysis. So I'm just excited to be part of this group, and I want to see what you guys do and hear about any new things. And I just
Okay.
heard about the roles that you mentioned, and I'm interested to learn more about them. So if you could share any details via email, that would be great.
About what? Sorry, I couldn't hear you properly.
The roles that you mentioned, there are some kind of data analyst roles and the BI analyst roles that you mentioned a few minutes back. I dropped out because of a
Yeah.
network issue. Yeah, but I did
all right.
partially hear your conversation.
All right. The thing that I can do after this session, I will have the recording. I will share the recording with you. Okay?
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Raghu. And Raghu, I have a question for you because we have Monica interested in Tableau.
Okay.
From 1 to 10, how easy do you think it is to start in Tableau?
I would rate with 10 being high, probably 9.
Wow.
Yeah, I did Tableau certification like maybe I think 3-4 years ago. I'm sure things have changed a lot. So I'm Tableau certified desktop specialist, and I did not advance to the rest of the certification levels. But I'm pretty confident that right now, I mean, in my role, I work like on and off, but still, I did not lose the grip or the knowledge of that, the tool. So I never worked on the Microsoft Power BI, but I have some conceptual knowledge of that tool.
Okay. Thank you, Raghu. And Taylor, would you like to share some of your experience with Power BI from 1 to 10? How easy or hard do you think that Power BI is for someone starting?
I think it depends on what your background is. Coming from Excel, I think that helped a lot because it's familiar feeling to Excel and how you build charts in Excel and how you write formulas in Excel. So maybe like a 5. I do think it's not very intuitive, especially compared to what I've heard about using other software like Tableau. Yeah, definitely not intuitive, but better and easier with an Excel background.
Thank you very much, Taylor, and thank you, Raghu. I hope that Monica answered your questions about the comparison between Tableau and Power BI.
Yeah, it makes sense because Power BI and Excel has the same user-friendly face look. So it makes it more acceptable for you in working with it, as opposed to Tableau is a whole different ballgame. Yeah, it's a whole different type of visualization in accessing it. So you go straight from Excel right to Power BI, same company, same vision, same user friendly. Then you skip over to Tableau, which is a total different type of data, total different type of using it in the as a data visualization tool. So yeah, I can see why it would be so easier to use Power BI as opposed to Tableau. It depends on your experience, and I have a lot of experience with Excel, so I'm very comfortable with Excel. So I can see that.
All right, next step for you
I think
will
I would like
be
to add a point
download.
here.
Yes, please, Raghu.
Yeah, I think
Go
every
for it.
tool is every tool is powerful in its own way. It's hard to judge, like, what is more powerful, like business objects or Power BI or Tableau, things like that. It all depends upon to your use case, I believe, and your infrastructure and the cost to it. Some say, a Tableau license is more expensive than, ClickSense license versus Power BI license. It all comes down to your company that you're working and your use case and the infrastructure and the data that you're working with. Um, it's really tough to comment that, hey, Tableau is powerful, or like, Power BI is powerful for so and so. Every tool is powerful in its own way is what I just want to add.
Thank you, Raghu. I think that if someone asked me just finishing the university, I would say learn Power BI because I see more presence in Power BI. However, there are specific organizations that they have a lot of Tableau to maintain and keep working in that platform. So I would say study Power BI and learn a little bit on Tableau, at least the overview. That is will be my advice. But as you say, Tableau is a really cool tool. However, my own preference is Power BI. I don't get any discount from them, but I just want to tell you that for me it has been going much easier. All right. So we're about to wrap up, and before I wrap up, I will. Yes, please, Monica.
Just real quick, so I know you've been in the field for a while. So do you see more in your experience? Did you see more of Power BI or have you seen more of Tableau?
More Power BI because I work with big corporates in public sector. That is my
Okay.
own experience. Yeah.
Okay, thank
Probably,
you.
probably could be a New Zealand thing, but I worked doing consultancy back in Chile from where I am from, and I see also a big presence of Power BI because in Power BI you can, if you have a Windows computer, you just can go to the software center and download it for free. Of course, if you want to share it, it will be a pain because then you need to start to pay for licenses. But if as a student, it's really quick and easy to just download it and start from there. And if someone mentioned that if you have previous experience in Excel, it will be just to find around. Of course, you will face challenges when you have duplication and different kind of errors, but I think any tool will be the same.
Thank you.
No worries. All right. Thank you everyone to join this session. I would love you to see you in 2 weeks time. Those sessions happen every second Friday and it happen always at this time. And as I just mentioned before, 2 weeks back, I completed a year doing this. And I will really appreciate you guys because thanks to you, this is possible. And so I will be happy to keep sharing insights and following opportunities.
Yeah,
Thank
one
you so
last
much.
question, Raman.
Thank you
How
so
do
much. Have a good night.
But
since
I'm not finishing yet. Just I want to
okay.
ask you one more question before we go. What do you think, Raghu, is the next thing that you would like to play around with data?
Just do various cuts and analysis depending on the data that I'm going to deal with. So it depends on the data that I'm going to work with, and come up with various metrics, and analyze those metrics, whether it is like by cases or by customer, whatever the data is I'm going to deal with.
All right, thank you, Raghu. Taylor, same
Yeah,
question for you.
Next steps in data.
Oh, what is the next tool that you would like to play with?
Oh, the next tool I would like to play with. Honestly, I'd love to get a little more into R. I've built some charts with R. I just see it because of the object-oriented programming language. I see a really good option to build like templates for people where I can just, name the variables like X, Y, Z, whatever, and have them input whatever variables they want for X, Y, and Z, and then it'll build the chart for them with, the formatting that I have preset for them. So I think that would be really cool. And, I'm sure I could do it in Python or other software as well. I just have the background in R for that. So
Nice, cool. Thank you. That gives me an idea for future sessions. And what about you, KJ? What do you think will be the next tool for you to play around?
Well, the thing I'm working on right now is really working with D3, D3.js, just
Yep,
because that's the package that's pretty much the most directly related to the grammar of graphics. But on the flip side of that, as I mentioned before, I think that like learning, I don't know much about Power BI. So one of the like side projects is like getting to that point of feeling really competent and capable in Power BI is one of my other goals, simply because, as you're noting, lots of job postings are like, this is a skill we want. So it's a both and for me.
Thank you very much, KJ. And the next tool for me to play around is Databricks or Prefect, which are tools more in the data engineering space. And those are the tools that I would like to play in the future. And the other thing, if you are really into visualization, one area that I want you recommend you to play around or have a look is SVG, which is vectorized graphic that you can change to vectorize, and then you can, for example, if you have a star, you can play with the data to start to extend one of the points of the star. But this happens if you're doing analysis, for example, for tortoise, how many tortoises are there in the ocean. You can start to play around with how many tortoises do you put in a graph within SVG. All right. So if you want to know more information about that, just reply the email that is sent to you after this session. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a beautiful weekend and good night for the people who are connected from US. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm
Thank you,
waiting.
Ramon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.